I think agentic AI is really around a contained software system that's allowed to work semi-autonomously. Obviously, you want to put guardrails in place, but the idea that you can ask a very kind of ambiguous, open-ended question, and it can figure out what data it needs to go answer that question, what kind of frameworks to solve the problem, and in some cases can act independently to solve that problem. Versus AI automation is really taking a task and just making sure that it gets done faster and more efficiently. So really around the execution piece and being able to have that autonomy to execute versus just, task A gets done this way.
Paige, wanted to get your sense, how are agents improving the way media gets bought and sold today? For example, how widespread is adoption and what will it take for this to gain even greater traction?
I think we're still in very early innings around AI. So a lot of what people talk about around agentic AI, I would probably classify as more along the lines of AI automation. Again, around those being able to pull and analyze reports, being able to troubleshoot deals, versus the real agentic AI. I think we're just kind of dipping our toes into that now. And it's really around how do we take all of these proprietary data sets and all of these wonderful signals and supply and figure out how to optimize for all the individual KPIs that a brand and a publisher need to optimize against, and allow that to happen at a quick pace, at a faster level, because we're not relying on humans to actually analyze all of that data and make those optimizations anymore. But I think we're still relatively far away from being able to do that at scale. There's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be put in place to be able to do that, specifically around not only making sure that the data into those models is really good, but also that the governance and the guidance is there around what those agents should and should not be able to do. And then the last piece is making sure that they're transparent and auditable so that people trust what the agents are doing and can allow them to actually execute more and more over time.
So Paige, I think that really speaks to the nature of AI-driven decision-making right now. And I wanted to get a sense from you. There's obviously a lot of discussion around connecting buyers and sellers and that AI-driven decision-making. How do you see those capabilities working together to create a more seamless marketplace while still maintaining transparency and control for buyers and sellers?
I think it's going to be a big challenge because everybody is going to come to the table with potentially their own agents, their own ways of working. The beauty of it is because of the lower barrier to entry, you can have your own agent that optimizes for your particular outcomes. But it gets to be a challenge when you have all these different agents on the buy and sell side trying to optimize for all the different things that each party holds dear. So I think, with that aspect, there's got to be a lot of, at the beginning, kind of governance, to your point, transparency around what's actually happening. What am I optimizing for? What are you optimizing for? And how? And then auditability around how you went about doing that as the trust grows around what's going to happen. And then a layer on top of that is how do we make sure that the protocols are there so they can all connect together and speak to each other? Because if all of the agents are trying to speak a completely different language, then it's going to be a mess to try to work with all the different partners in the ecosystem. So really having that kind of infrastructure foundation and those more standardized ways of speaking to allow all of this to scale over time.
So let's talk a bit more about that standardization and scale. Obviously, many companies, it seems like every company is racing to build a proprietary AI platform. Magnite has obviously taken a different approach by emphasizing openness and interoperability, as you mentioned. Why do you believe that will matter more over the long term?
I think to your point, one is, there are a lot of companies that want their own agents, and I think that's great. They have their own goals and KPIs and data and algorithms that they want to be able to use and leverage, and we should allow that to happen. There's also just the fast pace of innovation around AI. There's a new model coming out every month. It seems like the tech is constantly changing, so trying to predict where that's going to go and where that's going to land, I think, is almost impossible. So from our standpoint, being able to support kind of all of the leading protocols and working with all the different models and allowing more of a standardized set of tools to be leveraged across all of those agents really does produce a healthier marketplace and allows everybody to kind of bring their special sauce to the table. And I think that's just going to continue. The barrier to entry on software development has been drastically lowered with a lot of these new tools like Claude and others. So you should be able to bring your secret sauce to the table. Magnite is a part of that as well. And we should help make you make that valuable.
Paige, looking ahead, what do you think people will be surprised by when it comes to AI's impact on advertising ultimately? What will change much faster than expected, and where do you think human oversight and judgment will remain essential?
I think we'll look back maybe not even a couple years from now, maybe a year from now, and think, oh my gosh, we spent so much time doing the tedious tasks that now we don't even realize AI is doing for us in the background. It's just part of the way we work. The analogy I always think about is like, I don't even need to know anybody's phone number anymore. But a few years ago, I would have had to know your phone number to be able to call you, right? It's just habit now that we don't even bother with that. I think on the flip side, there still has to be that human element around brand safety and understanding from a brand's perspective how they want to show up to a consumer. AI is a machine. It does not have emotion or empathy. So I think that will be a place that will still have a lot of human element around the guidelines and rules around brand safety. I also think the upfronts aren't going to go away just because of AI. Those are big kind of risk-averse negotiations between large brands and large publishers. And while I think AI can help plan and assist in those negotiations, I think a lot of that will still be human interaction as well.